I think everybody in this city really just wants to see New Bedford thrive and the community really prosper and just get better. And when we keep that at the forefront with whatever project you're doing or whatever business you're in, I think that's how we all win. And that's the kind of stuff that we're really trying to capitalize on. And that's why, as we're building this festival and as we're building this film office, at the forefront all the time is like, I always want to do what's right for the city and the people in the city. If there's opportunities coming in or if there's opportunities for productions coming in to tap into us, I also want us to get some opportunities from those people coming in.
I'm Kale from Cinestruct.
And I'm Alexander Bergman.
And this is CíNEMA Revolution.
Revolution.
Alex, did you have some kind of mystery that you have going on here?
All these secrets that I'm hiding.
Today we have a really fun episode. We're going to talk to Ethan de Aguiar. And Ethan is a New Bedford-based filmmaker and ARTrepreneur that is laser focused on the art of storytelling. His documentary short film, Love Letters for New Bedford, made waves on its festival run and inspired Ethan to found the New Bedford Film Festival, which is kicking off its second edition on April 10th, 2025. So super happy to have you on, Ethan.
Awesome. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so I want to get into the festival and what it's all about, but when we first got a chance to talk, Ethan, you had so many interesting ideas about independent film, and when you were telling us just everything that you were doing, I was just like, we have to bring you on, and because you are a revolutionary, and with everything that you're doing. So, and we're all about the revolution here, right, Alex?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So, to just kind of to jump into it, um, tell us a little bit about your own backstory as a filmmaker. Like, who is Ethan?
Yeah. So it all started when I was a young lad. No, I mean, I've always really been into filmmaking. I like just picking up a camera and shooting stuff. Um, you know, family vacations, things like that. Like just I think it really like fascinated me at first that we were like recording things and we could watch it later, pop in a VHS tape and just kind of like relive experiences. And that carried over all the way up until high school. I got into skateboarding in high school, and then my friend Tim gave me my first camera and editing software. And I actually just had a conversation with him the other day, and he was like, we were just kind of reminiscing on how happy, like how glad I was that he gave me that, because like look at what I'm doing now, and who would have thought back then. But it was just a lot of fun, just skating with everybody. After school, we'd school ends what, like 2 o'clock. We'd be skating until like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and just recording everything. And then just really started like that was kind of my first editing, is like putting things together. Um was skate videos, or I guess not. I used to make like weird like home videos with action figures back when I still had to like edit in the camera and like rewind the tape and like do
Oh
another take.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of the first time where I got to use like editing software and really like put stories together. And I think that's where my passion for storytelling started to really develop. I started to realize like why I liked filming and editing so much. Um, just recording good times with my friends in my teen and formative years. And then went to college for communications. Colleges are kind of out of date with creative businesses, so it was like I was happy for the experience, but
We're
I
gonna have to jump into that, by the way, Ethan. But keep going. We're gonna have to do a deep dive on that one. But
yeah, yeah, it's they need a update. But But I mean, again, it's a formative experience for anybody. I think people should go to college just to experience it if they're fortunate enough to be able to. But like maybe don't put so much pressure on yourself that you need to figure everything out by the time you graduate. Um, and yeah, just met like a lot of other filmmakers there. I got some cool opportunities. I remember one year, I think it was either like my junior or senior year, we had an opportunity to go to Jordan for 2 weeks. The school actually not only paid for our trip, but paid us to film, just kind of like interacting with the students out there and immersing ourselves in the culture and things like that. So it was like an insane experience. It was only 4 students that got chosen. So that was really cool. And you know, graduated fresh out of college, didn't really have a job lined up for this industry. I worked construction with my dad for a while. And then I got into the wedding business, which was nice. Like it's a good start. It felt like boot camp. Like you're very, you know, you're put through the ringer. Like you really gotta you really gotta get your stuff together for that. Um, but it just like turned into a job and I didn't really feel like I was growing creatively. It was fun. The interactions with like the bride and groom, or like when they get their final video and they're like so happy and getting to spend the day with them and all that stuff is like it was cool, but it just felt very like repetitive and like formulaic, you know. So and then yeah, and then in January of 2020, I just decided to go into business for myself. I quit that job. I went back to working with my dad for a little bit on the side just to kind of like pay some bills while I was building up a clientele. And then 3 months later, COVID hit and everything went into lockdown. And it was, you know, it was weird. And like some other things happened. Like I I had like I was working a job late one night and I was also trying to like edit stuff on the side. So I had my laptop, cameras, hard drives there, and everything got stolen. And I was just
Oh
like,
Oh,
God.
yeah, it was like right at the start, like starting to gain some momentum, starting to get some clients. And it just kind of like, I mean, honestly, it kind of like broke me. Like I was pretty low at that point already. And then that hit, and I was just like, whatever. Like I'm just everything's in lockdown, everything's gone. Like why even bother? But luckily enough, my parents loaned me some money. Got to buy a laptop, camera again, all the stuff I needed, so I wouldn't lose that momentum that I was gaining. Um, but like creatively, I just wasn't really feeling it. Like I was just kind of demotivated. Isn't even the right word. It was just like defeated. And like I was like, why even bother? Um, and then one day I just went to the downtown area of my hometown, just walking around. Like I was like, I have to just film something. Like I just have to like be creative again. And I don't have any plan. I don't know what I'm doing, whatever. I'm just going out there and just filming what I see. Cause like we were essentially living in a ghost town at that point. Like things I had never experienced anything like that in my life. Um, and then just created, like filmed a bunch of stuff. I remember seeing two people, two local artists, graffiti artists, and they were like putting up a mural to kind of like reinstill hope in people. Um, and it was just really nice, like talking to them and seeing, and they just had that sentiment of like, we just like everything's so crazy right now, and we don't know like when we're getting out of this, that we just have to like create. And and it was just really kind of inspiring. Like the artists come out in those times, and then that led me to just making this PSA style, like, you know, we're all in this together kind of thing. And then things just took off from there. Like people were hitting me up for videos. A lot of like nonprofits or organizations had to switch to virtual events and like fundraising things. So created videos for them and then just kind of like exploded from there.
You
Wow.
created videos for their virtual events?
Yeah, a lot of it was like, you know, annual report stuff or like um you know, collecting older videos and kind of editing it into this thing to show like what they did at the end of the year and that kind of thing. Like kind of just working with whatever they had. But but it was great because it just made me, you know, it helped me meet a lot of people and then once, you know, lockdown started to get rolled back and we were starting to go outside again, they just kept hitting me up for stuff and just took off.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's really like crazy. Like that whole COVID period for so many people, I feel like it was kind of like a it was a global pandemic, but it was also like a global depression. And I feel like for creative people especially, it was kind of like a what do you do moment. But what how you kind of transitioned out of that, like by finding finding within your own community something that you could do, and then kind of parlayed that into a lot of what you're getting into now is super interesting. I wanted to dig into that a little bit, like how do you go from like doing jobs, within your community as a creative and as, as a working filmmaker, we're talking about what you're doing is what we typically in this world call like videography work. But I think what you're able to do is kind of take that and start going into actual filmmaking storytelling. And I wanted to understand how you started to make that transition, because I think that's where a lot of filmmakers get stuck. They get stuck in that work mode and aren't able to transition into that more creative mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I just was like really stubborn and sick of like working for people telling me like what creative decisions to make and how to edit certain things and things like that. And I just kind of wanted to like express myself in my own style and my own voice. I had watched like a lot of YouTube videos up to that point because like not much else to do. And just the people like Casey Neistat and stuff like that. It was just like they just seem like they're just having so much fun, but at the same time they're telling their stories. And whether it was something like a vlog from him, or I started seeing a lot of other creators that were just kind of like telling a story, even if it was like a commercial for a burger or something. So I was just like starting to realize that, you know, those like those times where it feels like a job is because someone else is prioritizing something else, like the money or their business or their network over the art. And I just was like, if I'm going to do this, the way I want to do it is always prioritizing the art, prioritizing the story, and prioritizing like my expression within that. Like of course, if I'm working for a client, they have certain expectations of what they want to deliver. But at the same time, too, I try to remember that like they came to me for a reason. There's so many talented videographers in this area. There's no shortage of it. But if they came to me, like they're gonna get what I do. And I just really started like leaning into that. It wasn't easy at first. Like it was just like say yes to every job and do what they want. And I think this is like a stupid edit or something, but I'm still gonna do it for them because they're paying the bill. But then eventually, like, gaining enough of a reputation allowed me to have that kind of freedom to really like take creative risks with people that trusted my creative decisions. And then it just paid off. It started working, and I think that's what's unique about what we do is like as a creative business owner, you're putting so much of yourself into your work that like that's your niche. That's your special sauce that you bring to every project. So lean into that. It's nice to have those fundamentals and those things that are going to get you yeses and going to get you those bigger budgets. But at the end of the day, when you're executing the art and you're doing that, like pour yourself into it.
I love that advice. Alex, I know you work um a lot, or in your world you've worked a lot with like commercial video work, and I know you can probably relate to some of what um Ethan was saying. Like,
Yeah.
what has been your experience in that world and trying to bring your creativity wherever you could into that world?
Well, in the commercial world, it it's a little difficult. With the music video world, it's a little easier because they're very reliant on the concepts that you're bringing to the table. Um, so I have had a lot of creative success in that field, but commercials, if it's like branded content, then there's a little bit more leeway, but the bigger stuff can be very constrictive, I find.
I remember this was back in the day for me, but I remember doing those wedding videos, Ethan, and yeah, it was. So, I have a question for you. Have you done an Indian wedding?
Yeah, they're They're a fun time, but man, that's a long day.
Yeah.
It's a long couple of
Oh, yeah,
days.
it's a week.
I
It sounds
I
like a blast,
remember
though.
it's so, to your point, Alex, it's incredible because the amount of culture it's like in that whole experience is pretty overwhelming. But I remember doing it back in the day when I was doing that kind of thing, and man, you, it is it is a lot. It is a lot, and you think about what you do as a filmmaker when you're working on, let's say, like a professional set, and you have like this whole crew, like you have this whole team with you, and when you're doing something like with a wedding, it's usually you and maybe one or two other persons, and then you have to try to, and as a filmmaker and as a storyteller, you're still trying to tell the story. You're still trying to get all these beautiful shots. You're still trying to get the people to interact with you in a way that can evoke something beyond you just sitting there. And while doing all that work, I always found it so challenging. And
I mean,
honestly, yeah,
I mean, wedding videos can be pure cinema, though. Like, you're capturing the most important moment in someone's life, and there is a beauty and excitement to that. But I can imagine, like you said, it gets predictable. Like, nobody storms out at the altar or slaps the groom, or no one says I object. It always goes through, and it's pretty much the same every time.
yeah.
Party, dancing, drinking, like, yeah, it can be hard to put your own creative spin on that.
Yeah, and even like, I mean, it's nice you get to like, the day of is fun. You get to meet all these people. If you get in good with like the groom or the bride, like they love you. They're just treating you like family all night.
Yeah,
But yeah, when it comes to like the edit and stuff, it's like, all right, we're starting with the prep and then we're going to the ceremony and the formals and the
yeah.
reception. And it's like how you can only like take that formula and make it something like wow so many times.
Yeah, I mean, it's kinda up to the wedding how good it looks on camera. You can do your part to make it look special, but, if it's kind of a janky wedding, like, there's only so many lens flares you can add to the mix.
Yeah.
But it does help.
Oh, yeah.
um Kind of going back, and talking about music videos, you touched on it, Alex. So you mentioned that music videos is one of those areas that you're able to, when you're doing that kind of like, I call it the day job kind of thing. Um, and that's where you can flex more of your creative muscles. One of the things when we were chatting, when we first met, Ethan, you mentioned kind of the transferable skills between, you know, directing a music video or making a music video and like telling or making a film, like telling a story through film. And I know both of you have worked in that world more so than I have. And I wanted you both to talk about that because you've both kind of done that where you've taken that music video experience and work and have been translating it to at least the skills into what you're able to do as filmmakers. And I wanted to hear some more about that whole process.
You first, Ethan.
Yeah, so I've worked on a lot of like local artists and there's a big like rap scene around here and I've always been a huge hip hop fan. Especially like really good lyricism because the lyrics are really telling a story. So, I mean, it would just be like, asking like what the concept of or sending me the song. I kind of make my own ideas of it. I kind of hear the story as a fan first and then just kind of like asking them if they have a concept or some kind of treatment for what they want to see visually. Um, Luckily, a lot of the time it was just kind of like, we just don't really have an idea. We're just kind of like going with you, whatever you say. Like, we just want to have a good quality video, and that's always good. The ones that are just like, we want this same like cookie cutter thing that everybody else is doing. Those are the ones that are kind of like, and you can kind of convince them like, oh, maybe we should try this, maybe we should try that, and for the most part, they're usually open to it. Like if we're already out there shooting at a location or something, and it's like, oh, let's just try this and see how it looks after. They're usually really open to it. But I really like those like really story driven songs and and stuff like that because it's like I want to complement your storytelling in the music with the visuals. I want to tell, it might not have to be like an exact like literal let's show a shot of whatever he's talking about, but tell the same kind of story, evoke the same kind of feelings that you get from the song. And working with a couple of artists coming up this summer. A buddy of mine has a couple of songs that I really want to turn into videos, and that's basically it. It's just kind of like it sounds cliche when you say it, but it's like you just keep storytelling at the forefront, and people are like, well, yeah, you're a filmmaker, it's all stories, but like, yeah, but people really kind of disregard it a lot these days. Like they go into these like systems and techniques more than like focus on telling the story, and then find out what techniques are going to be best for telling that particular story, but start with the story.
And do you find that world to be at all lucrative?
Um, I mean, like I said, it's all been like local people, so it's always been like low budget stuff. But I will say that like the music videos that I've had the most creative freedom on have led to other opportunities. So it's like especially if it's like it's a buddy of mine or something like that, and we can just have fun and make a cool video, and then it might land me something else later. But yeah, I mean, creatively fulfilling, but not exactly lucrative.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I kind of bowed out of the game after doing maybe 50 music videos. What I noticed is kind of funny is like the bigger the budgets got, the rates didn't go up. In fact, they even sometimes went down. um, where the production ends up like putting all their chips in, and you end up getting shafted budgetarily, or it just takes a ridiculous amount of time in post. Um, there's sort of a sweet spot with music videos where you can like take half the budget, even if it's low, and make it worth your while. But at a certain point, when the budgets start creeping up, you're getting kind of the same amount of money as you would for a smaller one. The biggest problem I found with music videos, other than the money, was that they're 4.5 minutes long. like like I can do a commercial with a 30-second edit. Like I can have a good rough cut by the end of the day. But with a music video, 3 minutes, okay, I can do a really solid 3 minutes. But that extra minute and a half is brutal. Because not only is the song repeating like a verse and a bridge and like landing with a final, you know, um, chorus, it just gets into the zone where it gets extremely boring and nearly impossible to keep even my attention up in the edit. Um, so
Yeah, it gets kind of like repetitive scenes and stuff, but
yeah,
there's
you're cutting back to that first scene, you're showing
and it's like even if
flashback.
you do something cool in the middle, it's like, but like how dry was it to get there?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there was like a couple videos I would do where we would really try to structure like, if it's like say a 3 song verse, like let's structure it as like 3 different scenes and like just switch throughout. So then those techniques of like, once you switch into the bridge and things like that, you can utilize some of those same techniques, but you're coming from a different scene. So it's like it carries it a little bit more. And a lot of the time too, now people are just thinking of like how they're gonna promote this on social media. So they're just trying to like I've found that some of the songs around here have just been getting shorter, which is great. And then even that is like switching it out and like, we're gonna do this for the actual music video, but we're gonna do just this one verse at a separate thing for like just social media promo.
yeah, that's smart. Alright, new generation type of thinking. I mean, I was doing this way back when, 10, 15 years ago, where I would be like, "Hey, could we cut that last, minute or two and just make a music video edit?" And they're like, "Nope, the song is pure and must not be cut." I'm like, all right.
Now it's like TikTok generation. Everything has to like hit in like
Well,
like 15 seconds or
yeah, a music video is like a anachronistic luxury. What you're really aiming for is, a 30-second TikTok clip or whatever, because that's what actually moves the needle in terms of getting plays.
man. It is a whole new world because yeah, until you mentioned that, Ethan, like it didn't even cross my mind that because I mean I've heard the stories about like in music like how producers are basically structuring the songs for TikTok. Like so they're trying to get the song to hit right away like at the very beginning. I just never I probably should have thought of it, but of course it makes sense that that would affect how music videos are being made too.
Well, I mean, even movies are at that point now where it's like, first 30 seconds, you got to grab them or else it's over because of streaming. People just flick on a movie and they have no, they haven't paid anything for it. They're just going to take a look if it's any good. And if you don't hook them in that first minute, they're gone forever. It's kind of crazy.
And that's the thing too, is like I like to focus on the like let's focus on the big project, like the main thing, whatever it is, 3 minute song, 4 minute, whatever, and then chop up the pieces from there and see. But one thing that really helps people is that I've been trying to get even like my commercial clients to think about is like not just the video, but like the rollout of the video. Like, how are you gonna present this out there? Because you need a plan for that. You can't just like post it up on YouTube, think that a good thumbnail is going to get people to click on it. It's not always the case. So it's like you need to think about like where are you like, how are you going to create this anticipation for this thing? And then sometimes, I mean, if the content's good, people will sit there and watch it. But it's not just a matter of like, oh, I made a good video. I just need to put it out into the internet and it'll just take off. Like, no.
So, Ethan, you call yourself an ARTrepreneur, which I love. I've never heard this term. It sounds like an oxymoron to me. Can you explain what magic you've discovered?
I mean, look, I'm still just like small town dude. Like I've just been trying to make my community a better place and try to give like, better video production to the places around here and stuff. And but I've made it my full-time job. This is my 6th year in business for myself, like not answering to anybody. So it's like I just wanted to I mean that I didn't coin that term. Like I saw it somewhere. There's like a website out there or something too, but I just really gravitated to it because it's like from working construction with my dad, I learned a lot of the business side of things, like how to deal with clients, the money stuff, how to estimate jobs, stuff like that. And then, the art in filmmaking is just it's the art. It's like the thing that really speaks to me. But I just kind of wanted to like kill that notion of like the starving artist and turn it into like the thriving artist. Like there's no reason and of course I'm super lucky. Like New Bedford is a super creatively embracing place. Like we have a killer creative economy here. Everybody's always about these like big ideas, these big projects, bold, statement things, a lot of public art, a lot of arts organizations, a lot of grants. Like we're very fortunate for this area. And I just kind of wanted to like propel video back into that world because a lot of the video production places around here were very like, once you get to a certain point, you get really big, you start getting into that commercial realm and things like that. And I was like, if I'm gonna start myself and I'm gonna do all these things that I might not see a return on my investment right away, but it could lead somewhere good. I would rather do a free video that's gonna help out a local New Bedford small business and instead of like just worry about making the money. Like I don't know. I mean, it takes a little bit of madness to believe in yourself like that, but just like if I'm going to be doing this free stuff to kind of build my portfolio and things like that anyway, I'd rather benefit the people around me too.
Yeah, beautiful attitude.
And then just kind of like giving artists practical advice on like running a business, like taxes, like save for your taxes, or like, how to negotiate with clients and really like get your rate that you think you deserve. It's this constant thing. Like I don't even have it right still. There's no like right answer. It's always changing. But like having that confidence of knowing that you do have something unique to offer. You don't have to necessarily worry about what other people are doing because they can't do what you do. Like I could give my clients and gear and stuff to the next guy. We could do the same job and the client's going to get two different videos because again, if you really love what you do and you lead with that passion, you lead with that art, you're going to put so much of yourself and your style into that work that it's going to make it uniquely yours.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And Ethan, I think you touched on a lot of things that I've been thinking about, especially when it comes to return on investment. And when it comes to like stuff, and the other thing that you said is starving artists. It's another like another phrase that popped out at me that I hear all the time. Like how do we, like, as filmmakers, kind of get to a place where we can kind of, you know, express ourselves without starving? Like, I feel like that's been a thing ever since I got into this industry. It's been assumed that as soon as you start like doing work that you find fulfilling, you have to just accept that you're just gonna live a life of suffering. And I don't feel like it has to be the case. Like, and that's so much about like what has inspired some of the things that I've been working on, is because I feel like when, as filmmakers and as creatives, we're making stuff, I feel like that brings value to the world, and I feel like we should be getting paid for that. And I know you feel the same way, Alex. Um, so how do you kind of navigate that relationship between like art and money, like, and making sure that uh you're getting the best of both worlds, and you aren't becoming the starving artist, but you are feeling fulfilled?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and I think it's one of those things where the answer is kind of always changing, and you're always kind of having to work on it. Like me personally, like I equate money to time. So it's like if I'm making money on something and my bills get paid and everything, it gives me more time to do other creative things that I want to do. So like I have a vlog on YouTube that I don't put nearly as much time as I would like to into it, but like every big budget job, or even like a job, if I get a job and I'm flying out to like California or something, I'm like staying an extra day and trying to get like a vlog episode under my belt or something and get something else out of it. um I think people need to kind of, I think maybe the first step is like defining what success means to you. Again, time to do the things that I love, which happens to be filming and editing stuff, which is great. But define the things that, or define your own version of success, and then just strive for that. Um, and in terms of like finding that balance where you can kind of be creative, like I, I'm taking on jobs that like aren't glamorous but they pay well. Like it's not like every single job I get is this super creative. I get to like unleash my creative potential in every job. There is like that very like business side of it where like these are going to pay the bills. I have like people that I want working with me, and I got to worry about now their salaries too, and mine, and this and that. um I think it's just about like finding, I guess finding those kind of like jobs and relationships that you can build with clients that will give you that little bit of stability and consistency that you need to really be able to get to that point. Because it's not, I don't think it's going to be this like one magical job you get out of nowhere that's like just going to change everything. But I think it's like the relationships you build, the reputation you make for yourself, the portfolio that you have at the end of the day, like all those kind of things will make the next job, when you try to like capture that magic again, a little bit easier and a little bit easier and a little bit easier until it just becomes your norm. And it doesn't always work. I got to say that too. Like it's not always
It
like best
never
case
always.
scenario, but I think also it's important to say that like in those times where those things kind of fall through, like I've had times where I like make a creative suggestion to someone and they're just like, no, we don't want that, and they don't see what I can see, and I'm thinking like, this is gonna like ruin the edit, and it's gonna like it's just like you gotta like let it go and use it as a learning experience to the next one. But don't be afraid in that next job to take that risk again, to speak up again, to try to do that. Because I've found that clients really like that. Clients like when you take initiative and when you uh suggest something that maybe they didn't think about at first or they didn't see at first. That sometimes might change your whole relationship with that client for the better.
Well, yeah, it's crucial. That's what they're hiring you for. Ideally.
One thing that I really wanted to dig into, Ethan, and this is kind of going back a little bit into what you were talking about before. And one of the things that you are doing is building up that creative community in New Bedford. And um, I think that's a very challenging thing to do. Um, and I kind of wanted to also make a connection to something, if you're comfortable talking about it, Alex, what you're doing with Cinema Saloon and building a film community yourself. So I kind of wanted to connect those two things. So Ethan, like in terms of getting a grassroots film community going, like what's that experience been like for you? Like finding other creatives and bringing people together around, you know, filmmaking.
Well, one of the things we've done and one of the things we want to do is we've started this film festival, and part of the mission of the film festival we wanted to do was also kind of beef up the film and TV capabilities of the city. But we kind of separated that to be its own thing where we kind of take over and help expand and manage the New Bedford Film Office. So starting with the film festival, I mean, it was just very like community based. Like we want to provide a great experience for the general public, because once you get people more interested in the filmmaking and in storytelling, that's going to create more demand. That's going to get people more excited about it. That's going to get these organizations rethinking their marketing, rethinking how they brand themselves and how they put their stories out there. And then one of the really like amazing things we found is that there were creatives doing same kind of things that I was doing all over the city, all over the neighboring towns. It just needed like a force for us to all come together and come out of the woodwork and stop operating in our own silos and just kind of like see what we could do as a collective. And again, like New Bedford, very fortunate that it's very supportive of the creative arts of all kinds, that we just kind of fit right in. Um, and yeah, it's just kind of like bringing everybody together, sharing ideas, working towards a common goal. There's going to be strengths and weaknesses from everybody, but if we're all working together with the same goal, which is like expanding this film community and this film industry in the city, that's just going to benefit all of us, no matter what part of that you play. So just finding that kind of group of people that have that vision, that have that drive, that can see the bigger picture, that can see the value of it, and that's infectious. I mean, that's infectious to, again, the general public. It's infectious to city officials. Like we have a lot of city officials that, maybe not city officials, but people, either organization heads or business owners or something, that at first were like, "Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool," and now we're in our second year, and they're like, "Hey, this is awesome! Like, how can we be a part of this?" So you sometimes you got to proof of concept for those people to really come around.
What are those conversations like? Like I'm always curious, because obviously they're not people that know like, you know, film in the way that you know. So how do you get them to kind of put away that skepticism so that, you know, you can just like they can like come and see the value in it?
Yeah, I think like proof of concepts work really well. Like having something that you can show them. It was even like when I was starting out, if there was like a particular business that I wanted to start doing videos for, I would offer to like do a free like 30, let me just make a 30-second video for you, because I could show you my portfolio all day, but I'll show you better what I can do for you if you let me like do something for you. Then I can really show you what I can do for you. And then they start to kind of see themselves in that world more. So they start to understand like, instead of like taking, here's this music video I did, let me do this like social media advertisement for you. It's like, let me get in there and show you already what I would do if you would hire me. And then they just kind of see it more. And then word of mouth spreads, and then you start getting more of these types of videos. So it attracts those types of clients. Um, and yeah, it's just kind of like getting out there and doing it and taking that risk if you're able to. I could try to get somebody to be like, "Hey, watch this vlog episode and imagine it's you." But like, who's gonna
Yeah,
be able to do that?
yeah, it never works.
Yeah,
And it's always a struggle trying to find material that matches what they have in their head because you just don't have it.
yeah. And a lot of the times too, it's like clients don't really always know what they need. Like they have an idea and they know what they need in terms of goals, but they don't know what they need in terms of storytelling. That's why they're hiring the professionals. It's like our jobs to go in there and be like, I see the finish line that you're trying to get to. Here's how we're gonna get there.
Yeah. You talked about the film office and expanding that out. Like, um, what are the goals that you have with that? Like, how are you like with in New Bedford? You mentioned it's a small town. Like, what are your goals in terms of like building out that film office?
Yeah, so I mean, New Bedford is like a medium-sized city. But look, we have a population of 101,000 people, so pretty decent sized city. But we operate in so many different realms on the scale of like a Boston or something. Uh, Known to be very kind of resourceful, very like big, bold. We're gonna like take these big ideas and implement them. So it's just kind of like taking that same culture that's been cultivated here and just apply that to filmmaking. So, I mean, ideally, there's been films of all kinds, like features or commercial shoots. There was like in some AMC pilot episode that they were shooting here with. We have like a very historical downtown area with old cobblestones, old buildings. So they came AMC came in and like filmed this pilot episode for something where they turned all the shop fronts on this one street back to like the old like 1950s kind of style and things like that. Um, so there's a lot of draw for that already. There was a feature called Finest Kind that was just made here. It was like a director who was originally from New Bedford. It was like fishing and Port City and like all that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of that draw already because of the history here, because of the culture here, because of the landscape here. I think it's just about kind of capitalizing on that. Like instead of just leaving it up to the people that it's left up to right now, let's get some professionals from the film industry in there. Like let's get some of us that have some experience and really love this area too, which is important to me to to build it up in a way that's very organic and grassroots and very like we're not trying to turn into a New York or an LA or anything like that. It's like we want to just make the most of what we have while still keeping the character of who New Bedford is at the core of it. Like we would love, I want to host Hollywood, but when you're here, like you're in our backyard, you're playing by our rules, and like you want that, like you want that uniqueness. You're not just going to some place because we have like this, fishing port backdrop that you need for your film. You're coming here because the community is going to embrace you. You're going to find these creatives that will help you accomplish your job. You're going to find these unique small businesses, these unique people, these characters, these stories. Like you're gonna find all that in New Bedford. So how do we take that and just capitalize on it in a way that's still true to who we are as a city? And it's just as much about bringing productions into the city as it is about giving resources to the people that are already here so we can export talent outwards too.
Yeah, that exporting talent part. So like how does that work? Like, is it that like, let's say a production comes into or is interested in New Bedford, in terms of as like a filming location? Like, are you trying to like help to get like local folks like involved in those productions? Like, you're just like connecting people on that level?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, you know, My vision for the responsibility of the film office would be like, one, we want to market New Bedford out to people so people know what we have to offer and we attract more people here. Then when they get here, just have all the resources to make their jobs easier because they're going to kind of tap into what's already happening here. So like things like creating a database of all of the locations that we have to offer with like names of business owners, like direct lines to who you need to get to, and then working with those businesses and those property owners to kind of help them develop their own film policies, demystify the insurance system and how that works, tell them how the process is going to go so that they're more open to the idea of doing it and being a part of it. And then that same database idea, expanding it to like, here's local actors, here's local crew, here's, lodging, catering, anything you would need to make a film production happen, just making kind of like a location scout's job easier, that they want to work with us and they want us. Like I know of plenty of productions that come in and they want like a local fixer, a local liaison to kind of like take them around places, knock on doors that maybe they would get turned away from or something. But if you have, oh, I know Ethan, yeah, I'll talk to him. He can convince me. Having that so that we all get to kind of be part of it and have a hand in it, but it's in a way that's helping the productions that are coming in. It's not it's not something that it's something that's beneficial for them to really kind of tap into.
Do you also, I know like a big conversation, especially right now in LA, is around tax incentives. Is that like stuff that y'all are getting into as well in terms of trying to attract productions?
Yeah, so we had a meeting when we first wanted to do this with Meg, who is the president of the Mass Film Office, and she was great, great resource. She was a great lady. Offered us up a lot of help, and her advice was always refer to the professionals. So there's tax credits for Massachusetts, and there's info on that we can kind of send them their way. But the unique thing is that the cities themselves can create their own tax incentives too. So again, like I was saying, a lot of the city officials, the mayor himself is like super excited about getting more film uh, productions here and really building a film industry in the city, that I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility to be like, when that vote is back up or when we're talking about what is our new tax incentive for filmmaking looking like. Hopefully, we're already in that position where we can kind of show them the value of it, and we just kind of double down on that, and they buy into it as like a viable economic boost for the city, which I think they already see because they're so invested in the creative economy here. There's been such a boost in it here. It's so embracing of art organizations, art festivals, artists in general. I mean, artists like come to New Bedford to start a career here because the community embraces it so much. So I think it was just a matter of really just getting people to be like, let's get filmmakers to just focus on filmmaking and we can fit right into this system.
That's really cool, man. I mean, I love everything that like you're doing and everything. That's why I said you're a revolutionary.
I mean, I'm just trying to do cool shit for my city, honestly.
I mean, it's amazing. 100,000 people is not a lot of people. That is a small city. Um, so you got big things happening in a tiny town. It's really cool. It's very impressive, and you can really move the needle with a situation like that. You can push things far along and lead the way. And so you've started a film festival there.
Yeah, so um, I like Kale said, I created this documentary. It went on a film festival run, and I just had like a lot of fun with it. And then when I came back, it was like a year long kind of run. And then talking with friends of mine or new faces that I met in the film world, we were just kind of sharing all of our experiences with festival runs too. And then it just kind of hit us like, why doesn't New Bedford have one of these? Like we could do it. There's events going on all the time. It's not.
There was no festival there.
No, I mean, there was a couple that, like, popped up here and there, like, throughout the history, but not like a sustainable one, like, not one that was like, "We're gonna do this, and we're gonna go in with, like, a five-year plan and, like, really try to, make this and grow it and turn it into its own thing." And it had happened before. And when we talked to some of the other people that had started it in the past, I mean, they were very encouraging to us too, that they were like, we started this, here's some things that we learned and things like that. But they were like, but this like feels different now. It feels very much like New Bedford is really ready for this. And it's really gonna like it's gonna just be different and do something for the city. So that was like all the motivation we needed. And we're just, again, it's just like what New Bedford does with everything is like we're scrappy, we're resourceful, we're going to try to make the most of what we got and create a really unique experience. And I mean, our first year like exceeded expectations. It was absolutely insane. We had over 100 films. We had people coming from like LA, New York, Germany. There was people, yeah, there was and the best thing is that when people come to New Bedford, that's when you really get a sense of why we love it so much. It's like you have to experience it for yourself, and then you're like, "This place is incredible." And that was kind of like the resounding, feedback from everybody. We even got, people that would say, like, we send out the survey at the end, like, what did you like, what didn't you like? Even the criticisms that came back were like bookended with like compliments. Like they'd be like, "Oh my god, we had so much fun. Maybe this and this and this, but it's not like make or break. You guys did fantastic." And it was just really encouraging and really nice to be able to do that, not just for like the visitors of the city, but for the city itself. Like another festival for it to be proud of, another thing to help put it on a map and use it as kind of like a tourism driver too. Like let's get people here and you know, d- I don't know if you know, but like New Bedford, you know, you go 10 years back, it didn't have the best reputation. It was not earned. Like we were still a great city. It was just like, people would only highlight the problems as if every city doesn't have problems. But I think it's like now people are more, you know, coming in here and really seeing it and then telling people about that, which is really encouraging to see.
That's it. I'm
That's
moving there.
awesome.
I'm ready. I'm back.
Alex, you're abandoning LA?
Fuck this place. It's on fire. Send me to Zillow.
It's funny too because we had a couple people that we talked about. I mean, we talked to when we were starting the festival that had like come from LA and stuff, like had just moved back or were thinking about moving back. And they were just like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that all this stuff was going on here. Like it was refreshing for them to see. And then to be part of something that they could be like get in on the ground floor and build it up the way that I'm assuming they thought they would get out in a place like that was all the encouragement they needed.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game out here. I mean, we're just
Yeah.
drowning in filmmakers doing stuff, which is great, but like, you can't push the needle in any meaningful way. Maybe we can, but not in the same way you can when it's that concentrated.
hmm that's a big thing, Alex. Because yeah, when with the good and bad about LA, and when he said like everybody, I guess everybody talks shit about New Bedford, I was like, yeah, everybody talks shit about LA too, even though it's an amazing city. But with LA, like you walk around and everybody that you meet is a creative person, but strangely enough, it can be so hard to start new things and also build up a community in LA, partially because of that, because there's all these established like communities already, and like it's almost like you have to have like this like prestige before people are willing to give you a shot, even when you're just like trying to bring some people together.
Yeah, I guess maybe it feels more like competition than like-minded people coming together because there's just not many of you.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of a place like New Bedford is like it feels and is a very tight-knit community. So like people are very supportive of it. And as long I think one of the best like one of the things that makes us all really successful here, no matter what like thing you're going into, is that we, for the most part, we might argue and we might not agree on everything, but I think everybody in this city really just wants to see New Bedford thrive and the community really prosper and just get better. And when we keep that at the forefront with whatever project you're doing or whatever business you're in, I think that's how we all win. And that's the kind of stuff that we're really trying to capitalize on. And that's why as we're building this festival and as we're building this film office, at the forefront all the time is like, I always want to do what's right for the city and the people in the city. If there's opportunities coming in or if there's opportunities for productions coming in to tap into us, I also want us to get some opportunities from those people coming in. So just kind of maintaining that balance.
Um, all right, so the festival is coming up soon. At the time of this recording, I think we're a little bit over a week out prior to the festival.
Wow,
So
that's soon.
Yeah,
it's
tell me
coming
about
up. I'm surprised you're talking to us right now because I'm sure you're swamped.
Go do the festival thing. What are you doing?
The city sounds amazing. What's going on with the festival?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you get to kind of experience New Bedford. You get to see this space. We're utilizing a lot. Like our main screenings are taking place in an art gallery that has like a projection system and everything you need. And then like right next door is an old church that got turned into a theater. That is like a play theater. That we're doing most of the screenings there too. Um, we have like a filmmakers breakfast the first day where people can get together and just start meeting. Like I said, there's going to be people coming from out of state. We have somebody confirmed coming all the way from Belgium this year. So meet and greet with that. We do panel discussions where we ask the filmmakers questions, but we also run panels and workshops in another venue where it can just be like highlighting certain filmmakers. Like we have a South Coast block where we're just talking to local filmmakers and like how they made their film, how it is filming here. um, we have like workshops on things like color grading your films, or raising money for your films is a really popular one too. And then like networking nights at night. And just generally, like, it's a festival. We got a lot of screenings, but we don't expect people to sit through like 8 hours of screenings. So we're like encouraging people to kind of walk around and explore the city. And when you go around, it really does feel like, the whole city is just kind of like part of this festival. Like everybody's really welcoming, everybody's really excited about it. We've worked with like restaurants and bars and some other places like juice shops and coffee shops that do like specialty drinks for the weekend. So really just kind of like get people exploring the city. um, and yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Just a fun time of kind of bringing creatives and filmmakers together to celebrate stories and just get to know each other more and talk these big ideas. Like, oh, what we're doing right now happens throughout the festival. And that's like one of the best parts, is just meeting people, talking shop with them, like sharing creative ideas, like just really building that community, even with people who aren't living in the city.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, what a dream.
It's a good time.
That's awesome. Um, the last thing before we let you go, and now knowing everything that you have coming up next week, I feel like we're holding you hostage, but
Nah, not at all.
do you have like any
He's
projects that
screening movies past the camera right now. He's watching.
I'm actually editing on my laptop right now while we're doing it.
do you have any projects that you're getting into that you'd like to just share, get out there
Yeah.
besides the festival, of course, that whole monster?
One, selfishly, I'm trying to do a lot more with YouTube because, I heard you guys talking earlier in another uh, conversation you were having about like, influencers. And like, I hate that word because it just gets tied with all this like bad stuff. But just kind of being yourself online and selling your own story and being really true to who you are and what you think is fun. And that kind of like, a lot of people are really into that kind of being a fly on the wall in somebody else's life thing. So I really want to tap into that, but I'm trying to curate it more. It's like I don't just want to like go on Instagram live and yap for like 3 hours. I want to like curate experiences for people to get to know me more and the things that I like on YouTube, because I do see like the benefits of kind of pumping some time into that. But one thing that I've gotten more into, so since doing love letters, I didn't really mean to kind of fall into the documentary filmmaking space, but a lot of people have been coming to me with like documentary ideas. and I really just want to run with that. So one of the things I'm working with is there's a local nonprofit called the Marion Institute, and they do a lot of things with like food insecurity and farmers and all this kind of stuff in the area. So I'm working on a documentary about the what we call the farm coast, which is all the farmlands around this South Coast area. Very unique farmlands, very like, you go like 15 miles in other directions, you can't grow the same things you grow here. And there's like, there's the usual people growing corn and raising cows, but there's also like seed savers, which I had never heard of. It's an insane thing. There's a lot of aquaculture around here, scallops and algae and like all this crazy stuff. And we're doing it in a way where it's to, instill this kind of pride in this area of this unique thing that we have, but at the same time too raise awareness for these things. Like, we need better infrastructure for these things. We need better support for farmers because it affects so many of us. So the tagline is kind of like, it's nice to have that bumper sticker that says support your local farmer, but like, what does that really mean? And do you know how far your $10 at the farmer market really goes? Like, the ripple effect is massive. So just kind of like raising awareness for that and really like doing a documentary storytelling for a cause feels really good. So that's what I'll one of the main things I'll be working on this summer.
That's great. One thing I noticed about documentaries, I'm shooting one right now, and I never thought of myself as a documentarian, but once I started shooting it, I realized there's something even more inherently cinematic about a documentary. If you do it right, you can get in there, you can get strange angles, unusual perspectives. You can do things you wouldn't normally do with a regular filmic scripted setup. And since you're showing real life, real world, real people, there's no acting, there's no making stuff up, so you're not trying to sell anything. Um, so what I've found is it's an almost there's no compromise in terms of making a cinematic film. You're actually freeing yourself to make an even more immersive, truthful, engaging experience. So I, I'm I've been really enjoying the process lately, um, and I had something else to say. I don't know. I'm truly loving it. Also, you can just pick up a camera and go. You don't need to rehearse. You don't need a whole big crew. You can just get in there with a smaller camera and do crazy stuff that you would never be able to do on a big shoot. And you can piece it together over months and years if you need to, if you don't have the money. Um, so, you know, yeah, the documentary world is not a compromise. It can also be more effective, when you're filtering stuff through the sieve of fiction, you're losing something there. Um, there's also there's so many there's huge audiences for documentary. They're looking to see a window into other true aspects of the world. And you can actually change hearts and minds with the medium in some cases much easier than you could with a scripted fictionalized material.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like in the storytelling aspect of it too, it's so like raw and real and like in most cases now, like we're telling stories of like right now, what's happening right now, what's affecting us right now. And I think I'm at that point where it's like, I want to keep doing the stuff that I've been doing, but I really like want to think about more about the impact that my art can have on communities, on my city, on the world, like, how far it can go. And I really do see like documentary filmmaking as that avenue to that. And like you said, it's really, you can take more of those creative risks. I think when you're working in like the fictional realm, you are sacrificing something. Like I want to tell this story, but I want to tell it in this way, and I hope that people get what I was going for. But with documentaries, it's just like, here it is. Like,
And they're not like, oh, you just made some story up to make me feel a certain way. No, it's right there. It's in front of you. It's real. There's less of the filmmaker's hand, at least any apparent way. It's still even more. You're pulling the strings sometimes even more because you're creating a narrative out of something that's right in front of you. Um, so, not to say the word manipulative, but you're you're in full directorial control over the material, in some ways even more so than you are with a narrative. And if you bring narrative tools and techniques and stuff to that scene, like, forget about it. You're just gonna make stuff that really blows people away. And I think that's a niche. Obviously it's not a niche market, but it's a world in which if you have some filmic aptitude, you can really do amazing work in and um get some attention, get seen, get appreciation for what you're doing, and get more gigs.
yeah. And I really like that it a lot of the time you're like taking maybe subject matter that people thought they knew and just like kind of diving deeper into it in from like a philosophical or just like a mental place. Like a lot of the time you're like making beauty out of these mundane things that people kind of take for granted. And now it's like, oh, this thing that I just thought nothing about has a whole documentary made about it. Like, it's got to be important. Maybe I'm missing something. And they like, I can see that draw of people kind of wanting to tune into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much in that space, and I don't watch enough documentaries. I actually saw one recently, the one that won the Oscars. I wanted to watch because anything that wins the Oscars, I pay a little bit of extra attention to, even though they don't always get it right. And I think the thing is, when you see the people that go out to watch a documentary, it's not like it's not like the cinephile. It's not somebody that's like going to watch a movie every weekend. It's people that are just like, oh, I need to learn about this story. I need to learn about this truth. And I'm going to sit in a theater with a bunch of strangers and learn together, which is something that documentaries in a lot of ways uniquely do, because it brings in people that aren't like the typical movie lover, which is something so powerful. And I think is another reason why documentaries are also super popular, or even getting more popular now, even.
Yeah, it's almost like parts of it kind of feel like cinematic journalism in a way. Like you're kind of just reporting on things. It's journalism, but with that little bit of bias. Like, if I think this is interesting or I think this is beautiful, I want to focus on that in the story. But you're still telling the story that's already there.
And you look at filmmakers like Lance Oppenheim, who I actually know him. He did Ren Fair recently and Sperm World. You watch those movies, and they're incredibly cinematic, like moody lighting, filmic vibes. Like, they just fully suck you in to another world, and it feels like a movie, but somehow even deeper and more meditative and more engaging because they're all somehow real people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some real characters that you'd be surprised. Sometimes you don't have to make up characters, for better or
Yeah,
worse.
this
For
documentary
better or
I'm shooting
worse.
right now, the characters that would just show up in front of my camera, and I'm like, I could never in a million years think of these people or even want to. Like, but they're there, and once I turn on that lens and I'm filming them, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is just it's trippy," to filter your reality through that lens. people I've known for years. Like, you almost like want to forget about them, and then they're in front of your camera and you're seeing them through your lens, and it's just like, I don't know, it opens up a whole new world, and it's amazing.
Okay. I think that's a good place to start wrapping it up. Alex, do you have any closing thoughts on this whole incredible conversation?
Yeah, just I'll see you soon in New Bedford. I'm buying my ticket.
I'll take you to all the cool spots.
Yeah, we're gonna come jack up the rents out there, and we're just gonna ruin your town. It's over for New Bedford. It's the new Hollywood.
Yeah. Ethan, really loved you sharing everything. Clearly, you sold us on New Bedford, but also everything that you're doing is super inspiring. Um, as we close out, why don't you tell folks how they can learn about, of course, the festival that's coming up and anything else that you want people to be able to find?
Yeah, so all information about the film festival will be on newbedfordfilmfestival.com. You can follow me on socials. I'm always posting about the city. I'm always posting about what we're getting into. And yeah, I mean just come visit and see what all the hype is about. I promise you'll have a great time.
Yes. So we'll have all that stuff linked in the show notes. So definitely check it out. All the really cool stuff that Ethan's got going on. And with that, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to we got another revolutionary that we introduced you all to today. Isn't that awesome? You see everything that Ethan is doing. So please check out everything that we're doing with Cinema Revolution. Of course, on YouTube, you can find all our episodes at Cinema Saloon. And if you want to listen, we're on Spotify and on Apple Podcast. Just search for us at Cinema Revolution and you can find us there. What else? What else do we
That's
got going? What's the next revolution? That's it? That's it? I want more.
Now we must rest.
Now we must rest. Thanks so much for watching and listening, everybody.